Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is Jude. She is a end of life doula or aka death doula. Super interesting. She helps people with death and other things like that, transitioning. So that's really cool. Like we are just talking off air, really interesting. I told her I'm not comfortable with the process of death, and she's just gonna, talk a little bit more about it, shine some light on it.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Great.
Yeah,
Good. Yeah. Happy to
good.
be here. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
What's going on? How's it going?
It's going well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. Good to know. Tell me more. So, what do you do? It's kind of like a new topic, even though I've been
Right.
in the hospice field.
Yes, it is a new topic. So death doulas are becoming more, people, I guess, are becoming more aware of a death positive movement in our culture, trying to empower people who are faced with end of life decisions and how they want to move forward with that and how families want to move forward and how they can be supported. So, end of life doulas empower people who are dying, empower families, and listen to them in terms of what they want so we can help with, I guess, one of the things that's interesting is there's an author named Stephen Jenkinson, and he worked a lot with palliative care, and he is part of kind of the death positive movement. And he said, with all the people he talked to, they weren't necessarily afraid of dying; they were afraid of being forgotten.
Really?
And so, death doulas help with that. We help patients or families create a legacy project and something that can be passed down through generations, a way in which the family member or the patient can be remembered in the family.
Is it
Uh,
like, sorry to cut you off, like those
no.
rich families that have like those crests? That's I just thought about that because like I
Yeah,
feel like that's like a family legacy.
right.
Like I was born in this family. Like
Absolutely.
that's how the East Coast is.
Yeah,
Not so much the Midwest,
right.
or the West Coast, but
For
they're
your
like, yeah,
ancestry.
my ancestry. I'm part of this family. We started this. This my grandfather was this, that. You
Right.
mean something like that?
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean that could be a part of it for sure, a really cool part of it. Um, but even something as simple as taking someone's clothes and making pillows for grandkids, or taking someone's jewelry and making a design in a shadow box that you can hang on the wall and
Okay.
then pass down to families. It can be pictures, it could be a life history story about that person that's actually written down and then distributed to family members. One of my students, one of my participants in the training that I do, um, she was doing death work before she ever came to become a death doula. Her husband was going through cancer, and he died of cancer at a very, very young age, and they had young children. She got together with her husband, and they wrote letters to their children for them to open every year until the kids turned 40.
Nice.
And he would say, okay, it's your ninth birthday. On my ninth birthday, here's what happened to me. So he would relate to the kids and tell them stories at the same age that they were turning. So she gives them a birthday card every year from their dad. Um,
Nice.
and
That's touching, actually.
yeah, it's
That is pretty touching. Yeah, that
beautiful.
is beautiful.
And
Yeah.
that type of legacy.
Okay. Yeah, that's very beautiful. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you feel about death? Are you comfortable with it? Because
Sometimes.
sometimes, okay, so you're
Yeah,
uncomfortable with it. Okay, I thought you were totally
absolutely.
like welcoming to it and things like.
No.
Okay, good.
I get freaked out about it sometimes. And I just want to make sure that I have everything in order. I want to make sure that I'm not kept alive by machines.
Yeah.
We talked about that a
Yeah.
little bit. Um, and I want to make sure that in my golden years, I have enough money to be able to take care of myself. Whether, I mean, I've worked with hospice, I've gone to care facilities. they're very expensive.
They are very
They're
expensive.
like $6,000 a month. So planning for something like that and making sure I have the funds for like those things stress me out.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I have a good death, whatever that means,
Oh, saving
right?
150 people.
Yeah.
That'd be a good death.
Actually, for me, um, and from what I've heard from doctors, what I experienced with my father, kidney disease is a good death.
Okay.
You go to sleep,
Okay.
right?
Peacefully.
Yeah. So I think with the medicine, you can be kept out of pain. Um, it's just how aware. I haven't really considered how aware I want to be
Mm-hmm.
yet. You know, do I want to be completely out of pain and mostly sleeping all the time, or how much of my death do I want to
Damn,
experience?
you gave us a lot of thought. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm younger. I don't really think about stuff like that.
Well, I think working with, people that are dying on at least, a daily basis sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes me think about it a lot.
Nice. So I used to be a social worker. Most people probably don't notice, and I worked with hospice people, and like they're on their deathbed, and actually that sent me the other way. That just
Yeah.
taught me to live life to the fullest.
Yeah.
Because they told me they would open up to me because I'm like the social worker,
Uh-huh. Right.
and there was a lot of regret.
Right.
Like they didn't travel enough.
Yep.
They didn't do the things they wanted. They were working too much,
Yep.
chasing money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna do the opposite and live life to the
Right.
fullest. When you hear 20 people say the same thing,
Yep.
you're like, okay, there's some truth to it.
And it does make me want to live um more completely and more
Yeah.
fully, and it does make me definitely more aware of life. It makes me sad to think that I can't travel to all the places I want to travel before I'll die. Like, I just don't think it's possible. I want to
Anything's
see the
possible.
entire world, right? And so I have those kind of passions that I think working in the death realm has I don't know, fostered.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Before here, I had lunch with my friend, and his mother passed away. But it wasn't really a big deal because she was 89,
Mm-hmm.
and she was in pain for years,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like kind of like out for the last couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
What they say? What they say when you're completely out?
Like in a coma.
Not in a yeah, you could say it's a coma.
Yeah.
She would come out and go in, but
Uh-huh.
she was in pain too. And then when
Right.
she died, and I'm like, "Are you sad?" He's like, "No, man." He's like, "I'm actually kind of relieved." But if that
Right.
same thing happened to a child, we'll be all broken.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
I think that's our own stuff that we bring to it.
Mm.
Um, I think it can be a lot of things. It can be something called transference.
Transference.
Yeah. So we're thinking, oh, it affects me and my, whether you call them samskaras or issues or baggage or, you know,
My identity, my personality.
mm, I think our experiences shape us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes if we have negative experiences, or, I mean, and it could be a whole lot of things, but maybe me seeing a child die would make me think that that's very sad because maybe I didn't get enough out of my childhood, or maybe because I know someone in my family who was a child that died, right? Again, Stephen Jenkinson tells a beautiful story about he was working with pediatric children who were dying, chaplaincy, and the family was very upset that she was so young and dying because they said she didn't have enough experience in her life.
That's how it like it's a child. They haven't seen life.
Yeah.
They haven't got to experience all the wonderful things that
And
life has.
he talked to her, and she relayed stories that just demonstrated she had lived so fully. Riding a horse and falling off and getting back on, and what that taught her.
Mm-hmm.
She came across as a very deep, intellectually deep, spiritually deep little girl. And then she talked about a little boy in her class who brushed her cheek with his fingers and the tingling she felt when he did that, right? And
Whoa.
so Stephen Jenkinson is saying, this girl experienced a lot of life.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel that way too. I do. I work up at Primary Children's with
Nice.
pediatric chaplaincy, and so it's always really, really hard to be with a family when a child, a baby, an infant, a 1 year old, or just young children die.
That's why
Um,
I'm working on coherence healing. You know what that is?
what with what?
Coherence healing.
No,
When you're able to heal people from a distance. Then that's definitely possible, by the way.
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
I have no
I
doubt.
learned it at the Joe Dispenza retreat.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how good I am at it or how effective, but I would just like you just open up your heart,
yeah.
and we did it to people, and you keep in contact, and they gradually got better.
I completely think that that's
Yeah,
possible.
but if 1,000 people thought that and
Right,
tried, it
right.
would be 1,000 times more potent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I understand. Like, I don't feel like it's the end.
Right. Well, and I still feel better. Better. I feel, I don't know, not as,
Burdened.
I don't even know the word. I'm affected when anyone dies. I'm sad. Um, but there's something about someone who's 90 that dies compared to someone who's 6.
Yeah, for big time.
And
Big time.
I feel that. Um, so yeah.
I, I don't even feel that sad for a 90-year-old because it's like a part of life. I accept that.
Right.
But for a 6-year-old, I don't accept that at
Yeah.
all. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care how comfortable you are with
Yeah.
the afterlife.
Right.
I don't. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't accept that.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. That is hard. Which brings me to Santa Muerte. Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking about that. How I have a friend in Mexico
Uh-huh.
that practices it. It has a lot of bad rep because people don't understand it.
Right.
Can
Right.
you tell us what it is and maybe shine some light on it?
I'll tell you my
Yeah.
experience. I don't know if it translates to everyone else's. So I come from an anthropological background, and Santa Muerte, and I wish I could remember the Mayan name. Um, Scholars think that her origin is Mayan as one of the queen of the underworld, the underground. Um, and so the Grim Reaper
Mm,
that you see with uh, the Grim Reaper is Santa Muerte. She is the original Grim Reaper.
really?
Yes. And
You talking about the guy with the?
uh-huh.
I don't even know what they call that. Where he chopped the
Scythe.
weed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cuz she has one.
Oh yeah, that's true. She does.
But she's kind of the original. She comes from Mayan culture. Um and I have that ancestry with my grandfather. Um and I don't know if that's where my connection really comes from, but I I resonate with her. Um, she is a death goddess. So I think for me, she can help a smooth transition. Um, people talk about the Grim Reaper, but for those that, um, I don't know, understand maybe or have connection to certain deities, um, yeah, I work with my spirituality in the realm of death.
Got it.
So I bring that, and she's one of the ones that I work closely with. Um,
To my understanding, though, she helps with people with like fortune, love, fertility, and people that ask for certain things. Because I've seen this bruja, which is a
mhm,
witch,
mhm.
actually do that type of magic. I don't. I mean, people would come back and tell me testimonies. I never saw
Right.
anything with my own eyes, but like you can see when people break down and cry, like there's something there.
Yeah, and lots of people have different relationships to her.
Uh huh.
Um, and the relationship that other people might have that would paint one picture of her wouldn't be the same for other individuals. So I think the relationship to deities is just very personal.
Mm-hmm.
But she is also one that a lot of, I guess, indigent people people who
Indigenous people?
no people who are poor, people who are suffering,
Yeah.
people who like a lot of people with addictions, or she's also been said to be the goddess for prostitutes or people who have really hard lives, who are facing um,
Why why are
lots of pain.
why are those people leaning towards her?
Um, I'm not sure of the
The psychological aspect of it?
I don't know. Maybe that she's not judgmental,
That makes sense.
right? The folk lore of her is that she's accepting and loving and non-judgmental. So I guess a lot of the folklore of relationship to deity is you have to behave in order to please them and
Yes.
be good in order to please. So if that makes sense,
They can't
the
really.
folklore around her is you don't have to. You can call on her for help and she will help you, whoever you are.
Okay.
Um, so that's other individuals' relationship. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I was
don't
just
know
curious.
that yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I mean, that's different people,
Yep.
different parts of the world. I feel like
Absolutely.
religion and belief, like
Yeah.
it's. I mean, there's some things connected, but it's very different
Right.
for what part of the world you're in.
Yeah.
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 So you meditate.
I do
Dude, I
meditate.
love
I
meditating.
do
I preach
meditate.
it day in,
Yeah.
day out. It's like changed my life completely.
Right.
Uh,
Mine too.
in every way possible. There's a
Hmm.
saying that everyone should meditate for at least 20 minutes a day, unless you're a really busy person. Then you should be meditating an hour a day.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yep. I love that.
There's a lot of studies on it now.
Hmm.
People are coming around.
Hmm.
It really calms your brain, helps with PTSD, depression, anxiety, stress.
Yeah.
Like now that I meditate a lot more,
Hmm.
things that would bother me just go over my head like, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm more focused, and I'm generally just happier.
Yeah. No, I agree. I completely agree. And I think it was I'm trying to remember when.
You said the 90s, right?
Sometime in the 90s.
Woo!
Yeah. I did a very long meditation.
What's a long meditation?
Mm, it was, well, it was probably an hour. And I had an experience in that meditation. But afterwards, and it was the time I was, working on a degree in school and I was smoking a lot,
There you go.
right?
Stressed out.
Stressed
You
out,
need the edge.
smoking, drinking coffee all the time. But I came out of that meditation and I had, I guess you would call it a shamanic vision because I didn't see with my eyes. I saw with my shamanic eyes the inside of my body and what smoking was doing to
So
me.
you had a mystical experience.
Hmm.
Nice.
And I just saw gray and it repulsed me. But I also had no desire to smoke. So, and I'd smoked at that time for probably 17 years, maybe. Um, and I quit
Just boop.
cold turkey.
Cold turkey right there. Did you have a desire? I mean, you probably had an unconscious desire to stop.
I probably had an unconscious desire to stop. But I loved smoking. I loved, and I think because it's breathing, right?
We're talking about cigarettes, ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen.
right. Yeah, but
I,
it's like a meditation, right? You take in that deep breath and you release it and you take in another deep. Unfortunately, you're breathing in all the smoke,
and
right?
tar and nicotine.
But I think for me, it was that process of meditative breathing. But the one thing I did after that, I had quit before for months at a time, and I could pick up a cigarette, and it was as if I'd never quit smoking. It was super easy to go back. After this meditation, I decided to try it. I tried a cigarette, and it was like I'd never smoked. I coughed, I choked.
Good.
And I was like, I'm done.
Good.
I'm done. Yeah, it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. So
That's
it
awesome.
was so after that, I'm like, okay, meditation. Yep.
What can you tell me what you saw in that? I don't know if I want to call it transcendental, but that mystical. It was definitely a mystical experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I
Like,
saw the gray smoke inside my body and where it was going into my lungs, but also how it was just it was it looked dirty and gray, like a just like a dirty city on a dark rainy
so it's like
day.
Los
Like,
Angeles downtown.
yeah,
Ew,
it
ew.
was gross.
Downtown Los
And it
Angeles
was my body. Yeah.
with all the homeless people. That was your body. Now it's clean. Now
Yeah.
it's like
Right.
Sandy
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Sandy,
Draper.
Utah. Draper. It's Draper. It's even
There you
nicer.
go.
Oh, on the hill. Watch out. Or Park City.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Drinking coconut juice. There you go.
I've also lost my taste for alcohol.
Good. Is that
Um,
gradual or?
that was more and actually also more so the more people I would work with who were dying, I noticed that I couldn't eat certain things when I worked with certain clients. And I was drawn to food that made them feel better. So my very close friend had cancer. She couldn't eat meat, didn't eat sugar, and I couldn't eat those things when I was working with her.
Huh.
So
You're picking up on her.
yeah, my diet changes. Try not to eat as much sugar at all when I'm working with people. Definitely don't drink.
That's the worst drug,
Don't
sugar.
smoke. Yeah,
That bastard will get you.
I know.
Yeah,
It's
that
bad.
bastard. Yeah, it'll get you.
It's bad.
You think cigarettes and alcohol are bad? Sugar will get you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pro meditation.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Have you
Yeah.
seen anything crazy happen? I mean, yeah, you have your own experience. You don't need anyone else's. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason I came to you was one of our mutual friends recommended I talk to you
Yeah.
about death and just the process of death because I still feel uncomfortable with it.
What makes you uncomfortable?
Just people. Some people are just very easygoing, like, oh, you're dying. Oh, okay, that. Like, well, no, it's the end to something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But-
So how do you feel when you think about death?
For myself, it's like whatever. I'm just gonna try to live my life fully. I don't even try to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think like the process. I would think like it's not that people near me die. I was thinking more like bringing people back from the dead and things like that, like messing with unnatural things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't really know too
No,
much
no,
about
no.
that. Yeah,
That's not my.
yeah,
No, that's
yeah.
not.
That's what I thought it was because I
Oh.
told Durgan, our good friend, about it,
Uh
and he's like, just talk to her, and if you're feeling comfortable. But I think like the message wasn't. But
Oh,
that's cool.
yeah.
You're still super interesting.
huh.
The
Thanks.
fact that you even
Yeah.
meditate is awesome.
No, I don't. That's not. I don't know that. Yeah, that's not something I've ever even looked into.
Yeah. But I know people that have, and they ask me like, "Oh, you want to try something?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm good, man." Yeah, like
No.
no, I'm just gonna take the knee on this one.
Right.
Yeah. Or some people say, I don't know if you believe like different dimensions or supernatural beings. They're like, "Oh yeah, there's different entities around us." It's like, you want to see it? I was like, "No." I'm like, I
Oh,
already got enough stuff going on in my life.
yeah.
Like, I don't need to
Right.
see something and then like I should never unsee it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? I'm sure there is. There's good, bad.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, I grew up in a family that that was not something that was ever discounted. It was
Really?
always something that was yeah.
Really, your family was open to it?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That makes your life easier.
Well, except I was probably 4 and I woke up and there was a little girl standing by my bed
Uh huh.
and I freaked out and ran into my mom's room.
Are you sure you weren't a little girl?
I'm sure.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm sure I was seeing something. I even hit her and told her to get out of my room, and then my hand went down, and
So-
she was kind of see-through. And I
And you
was
remember
like,
this?
oh, clear as day. I went into my mom's room, and she was like, "There's no one in your room. There's no one in your room." And I wish she would have said, let's go back and see what she wants,
Yeah.
right? And because to me, that would have been empowering at the time,
That anytime that would have been empowering
right?
because you're facing it,
Right.
whether it's your fear or your curiosity.
Right.
I would have run the hell out of there. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I see it like that. Like Yeah, there's certain things that I need
Yeah.
to.
But my parents would never discount anything about, I mean, we always talked about relatives who were around to help us. And my dad told me about seeing his grandmother after she died. And
That happened to my best friend.
yeah,
He said one day he just woke up and his grandfather was right there,
yeah,
and apparently like he had a couple minute chat with him, or he thought he did, but he wasn't talking.
right.
And then he just kind of like just went away. This was right after he died.
Yeah,
And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, bro. He's like, I'm not joking. That's like something really. And this guy's like not really a conspiracy theorist or anything like that,
yeah.
or like into
My dad
metaphysical.
was a little less into the metaphysical than my mom, but both he and his aunt saw her. So it would have
So
been
it's,
my aunt's mother
wait, so two
a-
different people saw the same thing.
at the same time.
So then that's just that's
Yeah,
that's real.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what. And my mom died and came back. My mom
Really?
was very sick during my whole life.
Did she have a
Hmm.
near death experience?
She did.
Can you please share on this?
I will. And I used to ask her about it all the time when I was little. So she had a very bad heart from rheumatic fever when she was little. It turned into rheumatic heart and it damaged her heart. So for a long time before there were ever pacemakers, she didn't get a pacemaker until the 70s. But her heartbeat was very slow. And she just had my brother, who was a baby, and she was staying with my aunt, her sister, because she was sick. Um, and she was talking to them, and everything went black. And then she came to and was talking to them again, and then everything went black. And then she came to, and it happened again. And this time, when she kind of woke up, she was swimming in a river. And she said she had two guides, one on either side. She said one had dark curly light hair, one had light curly hair, one had dark curly hair. And she said she couldn't tell. She said they were both very androgynous. So she didn't know if they were male or
Okay,
female,
okay.
but they're going down the river with her, swimming in the river. She said it was the most beautiful place she'd ever seen in her life. A natural area with mountains and a beautiful shoreline. And um, she just said it was absolutely spectacular. And she knew something was up because my mom hated water and she couldn't swim. So she was always terrified of water um, and just hated it. But here she was swimming with these two individuals. And she was going along very happy. And then she remembered that she had a baby. And she thought, I can't go with these two right now because of my baby. I have to get back to my baby. And so she turned around and started swimming the other way as strong as she could. And they grabbed her ankles. Each one grabbed an ankle and they wouldn't let her go. And she said she heard a voice that said, let her go. And they let go. And she said she woke up.
You give me goosebumps, lady. She heard a voice that said, "Let go,
Let her go.
let her go."
And she said when she woke up, her ankles were sore for days.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Very, I like it. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you're gonna need a lot of DMT to get there. Yeah,
Probably.
yeah, but that's what
Yeah.
happens when you die. You
Yeah.
release those chemicals in your brain.
Right.
So, but that's awesome. At least she was able to remember that.
Yeah.
I
And
can't.
she said it was beautiful. She said it was peaceful. She said it was beautiful. And she told me that from the time I was little. So, in terms of fear around it, I believe that my family members who are deceased will come for me. I believe my dogs will be there. And from what she said, I believe it will be very beautiful and peaceful.
Good.
So that's my personal belief.
And that makes you more comfortable with death.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom put that in your head at a younger age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
That's interesting. I'm just trying to think of what my dad told me, but it's not really. It's like it's all fake. It's like it's
Yeah.
like just saying like it's all a lie.
Yeah.
Like, but that could fall into simulation theory.
Right.
We live in a virtual reality world. I
Right.
don't know how you want to spin that. Maybe that's just a toast that people that drink say.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, there's different concepts. People have written a lot of books,
Mm-hmm.
but how do you? Maybe she had a glimpse, but I don't. Have you heard of Abraham Hicks and that person that could
Yeah.
channel that person? Like,
Yeah.
how do you really
And
know?
Edgar Casey.
Actually, Edgar Casey is probably one of the most fascinating persons. So Edgar Casey is the guy who coined the term the Akashic records.
Uh-huh.
So this guy, the reason he came out of left field, most of these people had training or they're in like some type of the world.
Yep.
He's a farm boy from the Midwest.
Yep.
He has no experience in this, and this was like in the 30s and 40s, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he was able to just go into this trance state, and he was no longer there, and he was able to extract information from, I could say, the ether.
Yeah. He
The
could
Itachi.
shamanically travel. So I think he was doing shamanic journey work.
You mean an astral project?
I guess you could call it that as well. But he was, I do think, according to his work, he was going to different people who were sick. He could describe their room,
Yeah,
and he could also identify what was wrong with them.
remote viewing,
Yes.
clairvoyance, as they
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're able to go physically beyond time and space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what shamanic journey work is.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
But
Same
the thing
thing.
is, this guy has no training,
Right.
and he's just a farm boy,
Right.
simple Midwest country boy. And the thing is that he drew a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So a lot of government people and a lot of scientists came, and they studied them,
Yep.
and they're like, "Oh, this guy's the real deal."
Yeah.
So they would like poke him when he was under,
Mm-hmm.
like in places where if me and you got poked, we would scream,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Nothing, nothing."
Yeah.
They're like, "Wait, he's really in a trance state." So
He was pretty amazing.
I like him a
I
lot
like his
because a
work.
lot of my friend has a podcast. It's called Perspective Shift. Shout out to what's his name, Frank.
Nice.
He studies all these people
Oh,
and
wonderful.
he's able to talk about them. But they all have like some type of training
Yeah.
or something's happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy's like all left field.
Yeah.
And the only other guy that I didn't think of something interesting happened to is the guy that wrote Power versus Force.
I don't know that.
So this guy was 12 years old. He was doing a paper run,
Uh-huh.
and then a blizzard came, and it was going to kill him. It was in the middle of nowhere in the country. So he just dug a hole, and he just went in. He's like, I'm just gonna I just ride it out.
Wow.
And he just, of course, he got hypothermia and he
Uh-huh.
was about to die.
Yeah.
And apparently he went to the afterlife, and they're like, you could come join us, or you could go out and share the love with the world
Wow.
and try to change the world. And he's
Gets
like, I'll go.
chills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently his father found him, and he was like completely out,
Mhm.
trance state, and he tried to pull him out of the hole, and he's like, no, 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 I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave.
Mm.
So, and then he went out.
Yeah. I think near-death experiences are fascinating.
Yeah, they are. Everyone has a crazy story.
Yeah.
I don't have one personally, but
I don't personally have one.
but I'm going to do holotropic breathing,
Nice.
so that might
Yeah.
send me somewhere.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm also going in August to do a dark meditation retreat. I don't know if you know where that is,
Mm-mm.
or what. It's where you're in a private room. I'm in Guatemala, in the middle of nowhere. There's no light, no sound, no cell phones, no people, and you're sensory deprived for
Nice.
5 days.
Okay. I've heard of that. That sounds
We'll see.
pretty intense.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I want to hear about it.
Yeah, 100%. I will tell you. There's a lot
Cool.
of people that want to hear about it.
Wow.
Yeah. Apparently, after the first couple of days, you just totally just like psychedelic.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, your brain is like tripping out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your brain always tries to think of something to do
Mm-hmm.
to keep itself busy. If you don't have anything to do,
Yeah.
and I'm a hyper person, we're gonna see what happens. Like
Nice.
skyrocket.
That'll be good.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Very cool.
yeah. That's like some other things that I'd like to study.
Nice.
Have you had any other experiences? I mean, just the whole reading must have been good.
What do you mean?
Like you meditate. You have a meditation room. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So
Yeah.
you're an avid meditator.
Yes. Yeah,
Have you had
I
any
am.
like we would call it shaman experience, shaman path experience, as you would call it, or
Yeah. I actually
metaphysical experiences?
I have.